everybody, welcome back once more to a lovely show match here for the Overwatch World Cup. We've had quite a few of these already. They've all been extremely entertaining to this point, and I bet this one is going to be the exact same. We got Team Panama taking on Team Costa Rica. And Dex, we are slowly coming up toward the times where those committees are going to be formed. Those teams are going to begin forming as well. Nothing is fully in place as of yet, but if you take a look at some of the rosters that we're looking at now, things remain pretty much the same the last time we saw both Panama and Costa Rica play.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing we do have to kind of stress here is that until the committees are finalized, all these rosters are not finalized just yet. These could change. We do expect to see some change in these rosters, maybe none with a lot of the teams that we've seen so far. Hunter, I don't think we'll see that much. But coming into tonight, like you said, we've covered both these two teams. This is the third time we're seeing Costa Rica, the second time that we're seeing Panama. Costa Rica, though, every international friendly they've had so far in this OWWC preparation, they have won every map. All 9 maps we have seen them play, they have been able to come out on top of. Panama, last week, me and you saw them play. They looked really, really good up against a team that me and you knew a lot of the players on, and they really did impress us immensely last week. This is a team that I'm really looking forward to see here again tonight against Costa Rica, who so far has probably been the best team that we've seen.
Yeah, that is kind of the trend that we've had so far. So this is the first time we've had two teams that really went in and won their own individual show matches against different teams that, to be fair, show their own promise. Between you look over, we saw a Nicaragua play before and have some really good fight back on some of these maps, taking one away. Chile as well, that's a really good team, but Costa Rica has come in here looking phenomenal to get some of these show matches started, but Panama looked pretty impressive too, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen, but we have a couple of minutes before things are going to truly start going as per things, but hey, we can take a look at the rosters for both of these teams. Obviously, every time I do this, it is fully subject to change because obviously these are going to be constantly changing, constantly moving around, but we've gotten to be very familiar with some of these people. We are still familiar with people that we have managed to see over the course of the last several months within Face It or other things of the like. But this roster has seriously impressed us. All these players that we've managed to see so far have done a great job.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been one fun thing to say about these two teams, especially for both of them. I mean, the players have really impressed us. Again, when we saw Panama, it was the first time we were seeing a lot of the Panama players, and they looked incredible at times. They really were able to go up against a team in Nicaragua where we knew the majority of the players on that team and thought they were probably the better team on paper, but Panama really surprised. Costa Rica, though, while they do have subs on their roster, only really have shown us the main 5 that we have seen so far in their 2 show matches, and I kind of expect to see the same 5 here tonight as they're trying to build that core here pretty early on, leave themselves or set themselves up as a contender.
Yeah, 100%. That's what they're going for. And to be fair, they set themselves in a pretty good position so far to do such a thing. But of course, Team Panama, we got to take our first look at last week when they took on Team Nicaragua. Had a pretty good performance there. And we managed to see quite a few of these people as well. We had a substitute to come in as well, but we managed to see this roster get pretty nice. You managed to see the 3 DPS slotting in and out pretty easily. Conqueror coming near the end and still picking up that pace and performing equally as well. So this is a very balanced roster. I think that works really well with each other. But now they're going to go up against another team that, again, seems to have things together to get things started.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the subs on this team. We saw Takeda and Jazer last week. Jazer, I believe we only saw for the first map, and then from there on out, it was Deg coming in, or Dek coming in for the rest of that series there. Takeda, I believe we actually saw them throughout the majority of it. We did see Tiger and Anox come in, or Tiger and Kokoron a little bit, but I believe it was actually Takeda that was in there for the majority of that series. Again, though, that DPS line was very, very scary for Panama, and one that I always say it a lot. It's a really good analogy. Once they get the ball rolling, it's really, really stopped the momentum they have, and that was one thing that Panama did really, really well in the one friendly we saw them play. They really did a good job of keeping momentum, only really slipped up once, and that's when Nicaragua was really able to find the most success they had that series.
Yeah, 100%. They were able to follow up on so much that, again, they have that level of consistency that this early is very nice to have because they have that to build off of now. While some other teams, maybe not quite at that point, but again, we'll see how things form once these rosters start becoming a little more official. But we're just a couple minutes away from getting things started here on this one. I don't want to say we've had some complications before, but, sometimes we start on time, sometimes we don't. But hopefully, we'll get things started soon because I think we both feel the same way. We are very pumped for this match, seeing two teams go up against each other in a situation where we haven't really seen either of them lose or even kind of hit like a spiral in a sense. They've managed to be very consistent throughout every map we've seen them perform on. Costa Rica double that since they've won 2 of the 2 that we've seen them on so far.
Yeah, but again, unlike Costa Rica's first international friendly, where they just played 6 maps and called it, this one is still going to be a best of 7. So once one of these teams wins 4 maps, that will be the series here tonight. And already the series being put on hold for a brief moment. But we've normally seen that here in Faces over the last couple days where the series gets put on hold very quickly. But the teams, looks like they're trying to get everyone in and ready to go right now. But Costa Rica, like I said, has played 6 maps and has won all of them. They've looked really good. Panama only dropping the 1. So they aren't necessarily undefeated, but this looks like a team that could really give Costa Rica a lot of problems here tonight. And I really hope that we do see that. I want to see this Costa Rica team have a little bit of adversity they have to go through because they've really struggled, or they really haven't struggled at all in the 2 series that we've seen them play.
Yeah, we haven't. So it'll be interesting to see if that is what ends up happening in this situation here today, because we've certainly seen Panama struggle a little bit time to time. Again, you saw that Kings Row that went to that overtime limit against Nicaragua. Nicaragua ended up putting that one away and taking a map off of them. So we've definitely seen them be put in this situation before. It's very likely we could potentially see it here once again with Costa Rica. But obviously, being in the setting that we're going to be in, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to kind of see what these teams can do now that they've had a little bit more to build off on. Remember, this isn't their first round anymore. These teams have played with each other at least a couple of times so far in these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and again, that's what's going to be really fun about seeing some of these teams over and over and over again. Is we're going to see the progression with them. We're going to see the growth. We're going to see the confidence come out of these teams here, especially as we're kind of stressing, looks like it got pushed back 10 minutes here now. So the game now going to start around 9:15. But I mean, that's going to be one interesting thing as we see more and more of these teams come in, more and more of these friendlies happen, and especially probably once the committee is going to announce for a lot of these nation teams, we're going to start seeing more teams actually pop up in this. We've been able to see 5 so far, and I mean, they've been really good teams. Yeah, we've seen some struggle, but I mean, we can go back to Honduras all the way back in that first one against Costa Rica. Yeah, they lost all 6 maps, but Hunter, I think, you could really take a look at that one there. Actually, wait, nope. Got changed again. Voting starts now, not starting here in 10 minutes. But going back to Honduras, even though they lost all 6 maps against Costa Rica, you could definitely see that there was an improvement from that team very, very early on, or through every map there. And that's one thing that we really like to see. Okay, at this point, I don't know what's going on with the series. It was put on hold.
Yeah.
So let's just, until we actually know anything, let's just keep talking about these 2 teams.
Yeah, we 100% should. And obviously, I think everyone's been very impressive so far. But obviously, you said before, there are some players that we haven't really gotten to fully see. Obviously, Costa Rica right now has a very big roster right now. I believe technically 11 players on that roster as we speak.
Oof.
Obviously, it is obviously a lot. And as one might be apparent when we get to the World Cup, unless rules change, typically rosters are typically limited to 7 or 8 players maximum. So obviously, you won't be able to see everybody in the situation, but hopefully everybody gets their chance to kind of shine in this situation, because we have seen a couple of these players that came through, like D22, like Hodelo, Spooky as well, Tolhu, who have kind of had their moments to come in and out to shine in their own right, whether it has been in these show matches or just from what we've been able to see in general of Latin America and South America over the course of the last 9 months.
And you bring up an interesting player there, D22. I don't believe we've seen them yet so far, but me and you know how good of a player they are just from what we've seen in Face It, in Sudamericana, and in CGL, I believe a little bit as well. They are a really good player. It's been interesting to see that they haven't been shown off just yet in one of these games, but now again, it's Costa Rica like you said, 11 players on the roster now. I believe they've added some since the last time we saw them. So again, this is, I think, a very important thing. We talked about already briefly that Costa Rica, through the 9 maps we've seen them play, they really haven't had any subs in any of those maps. It'd be very fun tonight to see them start rotating through, because yeah, you might have a strong 5, but Hunter, you never know when you're going to need to have someone come in case something happens to another player, someone's having an off day. You always want to have those subs on the team. So this could be a good point for a lot of these players, maybe to get good trial opportunities here to try to make it on these teams after those communities get announced.
Yeah, 100%. And we'll see how quickly those end up forming. I think for some of the smaller nations out there, I think we'll find out very quickly what their situation is going to look like. But as things are right now, uh, obviously I'm curious what the starting lineups are going to be for each side when we decide. But of course, we've been going back and forth for a while. We're not going to press on it too much. But I think we know what we genuinely or generally expect from both sides. We got to see what they are very comfortable on as well. I'm curious to see with them facing up against each other if we see their limits be pushed a lot in this situation where, at least for both sides, we saw what their comfort was. We saw them stick to it. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but neither was pushed to a certain point where, hey, we need to change something up and try something entirely different.
Yeah, absolutely. But right now, one thing I'm noticing, Costa Rica actually looks like they're going to be showing us a little something different, at least at the moment, whenever we do go into the match. Looks like Hodelo's not here, so looks like Catch going to be coming in for them if that stays through. Same thing on the other side with Team Panama. Guardian, I don't remember playing at all last week, and Guardian, I think, actually might be a new addition to the team this week around here. So it's gonna be really fun to see them. Conqueron, Jazer, Deg still on the bench here right now. But again, one thing that I really like to see from these teams are those subs, because you want to have people to rotate through here. But looks like we're finally getting into it here now, everybody. Not necessarily a surprise where our first map is going to be. We're heading to everyone's favorite control map of Lijiang Tower. And that leaves a lot of good opportunities here for bans, especially if you know the other team. I mean, you could always go tank, you could always go support. I feel like it's always safest to go support here. Hunter, what would you necessarily expect to see come out here? Well, you already know what it is.
Well, yeah, DPS obviously. It doesn't feel like we live much around where one role seems to be banned more than the other, at least on the outset. But again, these players are becoming more and more familiar with each other, already were to some extent as well. So they will have some idea of what is good to ban just against a particular team, but also to ban in general, because we've had bans around for so long at this point to where teams, players, everyone is just so comfortable with it. But it is good to get that practice in the situation as well, because we've seen bans make and break some matches where we sit there on map 4s and we scratch our head and we don't know if that's the right ban, and it turns out it just didn't really help the situation. But at the same time, we've seen bans shut teams down and stop them from getting any momentum in the past. So you cannot understate how important it is to make those correct bans, and more specifically, when you know what those critical bans are, waiting for the correct time to use them.
Yeah, especially in a series like this where you're still trying to practice some stuff with some of your players, some of your rosters, some of your compositions as well. Having these bands come out here, especially really good ones, really will push a team and really make them, have to adapt pretty quickly here. Granted, like we mentioned, subs for each team, so we could see people come in and out. Costa Rica has a whole nother team +1 on their bench, while we've talked about already, Panama only has 3. So again, you could still you could see people come in based off what compositions they are wanting to see here. Panama's turn to vote now or get the ban, and looks like it just came in. So again, Sojourn being banned out by Costa Rica. We're gonna figure out what Panama's gonna be banning here in a moment. I feel like just with how what we've seen in the past from these two teams, I believe both had a very aggressive Lucio player on their teams. If I'm remembering correctly, I might be wrong about that.
Yeah, you think it's speed
but
boost,
I feel like I feel like Lucio's always a safe ban to come out here. But looks like we're having another swap come in right now. It's actually gonna be Orisa, our second ban, coming out here from Panama. Cal gonna be coming in here for Catch. So I feel like this is the lineup that we have seen in the past, Hunter, a little bit. Benji, Wedtube, Kixo, Artorias, and Kale coming in now for Costa Rica, while Speed Boost, Enox, Takeda, Tiger, and Dyke coming in for Panama here. Again, these are, I think, probably best v best right now from what we have seen so far, but there are still some really good players on the benches for these two teams.
Yep, and that is the bright side of this all. Having so much depth to be able to work with between these squads is going to be important. And once we figure that out and really consolidate things, make it all work together, it's going to look beautiful. Because no matter how things go here today, we are rooting for these squads to improve, to show what they have when the time comes. But we're going to get ready to head into things momentarily as, hey, going to start things over inside of things right now. I don't know why I forgot what Control Center was called for a moment there, but Control Center is what is going to get us started. And I'm excited to see how this ends up going down because, again, the players, how impressive they were on their initial outing. It was fantastic to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how do you could call this map inside? It's the only inside map or inside point when it comes to Lijiang Tower. But more specifically, this is the map where you see, or the point where you see a lot of Brawl come out here. I mean, this is known as the Brawl point of the three. Granted, you could still play Brawl majority on every other point. This one just seems to kind of gravitate towards that as well, or a little bit more here. But right now, from the side of Costa Rica, Kixo and Kale showing us a really aggressive kind of playstyle here. Hunter, me and you talked about this a little bit when we covered Face It. Bastion's starting to be a little bit more of a problem here, are being shown a little bit more often than what we've seen in the past. Just a lot of damage, especially going up against another team that's playing a Zarya like you're seeing come out there from Panama. That's just a bubble popper. And I really like that kind of playstyle, especially with Kixo coming out here on the Vendetta. You're going to be looking at this Vendetta Zarya playstyles coming out here. Bubble's going to be going on the Vendettas very, very often here, just to try to both charge up the Zaryas and allow their Vendettas to play as aggressively as they want.
Yeah, 100%. And this Bastion is going to be really difficult to walk into. We've seen teams struggle with it quite a bit because Bastion has actually come into a pretty high use as of late for some of these teams that paired up with things like the Zarya or the Sigma. But you see the aggression beginning to come through here. Immediately, Takeda is going to be gone. The rest of the team's going to be in a rough situation as Gal going to take care of two of them. First fight should be pretty locked in place here as they're going to push up, get a couple of extra kills. We'll be able to clear things out, and Costa Rica should have first point here.
And the point is open here, but Costa Rica really just want to finish up that fight, and I don't blame them. I mean, that's a really good start for Costa Rica. Like we said, this has been a team that has shown us a lot in their two friendlies so far here, looking to get off to a really good start here and doing just that. Kale, though, find that first pick again. You talked about Bastion getting a lot more threat, or a lot more play here. Again, they're getting very good, but already you see Benji getting very aggressive here on the Lucio, and Dake getting taken out yet again.
Yeah, that's a rough one right there, and then eventually the cleanup comes through once more as Inox and Tiger both going to get out of there, and you're going to see them not give up much room in the situation because, to be fair, with this comp, there's zero reason to do that.
Yeah, and like, here's the thing, Kale's finding so much value on this Bastion once again in turret form because Artarius and Wed2 and Kix are just doing so much here, but you're already seeing two ultimates come out here from Costa Rica.
Yeah, 100%, but you do have the trade-up come through. Kitso and Takeda gonna go down, but remember, Takeda's gonna be back exceedingly faster, but Tiger, it's off the side right there, and that's gonna halt the progress a little bit, but still, you do have to back out, get your Bastion back here. In that meantime, you should be able to see some aggression here.
Yeah, and especially with Panama coming back in here with a couple ultimates, they could definitely try to push the agenda right now and try to go in very fast, but Kale is back. There's too much out from Anox here, but Tiger getting very low early. The grab out from both sides.
Yeah, unfortunately, barely gets in time, by the way. Almost gets spurred down regardless, but now you have to wait for that consuming rush to go forward, and now you're going to walk forward. Unfortunately, you just might not have much to work with at this point. You still have some damage, but now it's just down to the supports. Benji, the only one that's going to get out alive, 73%. Still pretty nice, all things considered, and you got an ult advantage for the defenders.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, that was a really good fight there by Panama. I think Dake did a really good job holding on to their bubbles there to keep them alive. Speed boost, I think having that late beat really propelled Panama throughout that fight very quickly here. Sundering Blades right for both sides, but Tiger has the Deadeye ready to go here. They're not sitting up in that high ground, but they're definitely looking for a spot where they can find a lot of value with it here. As you already kind of see him falling back, and here it comes out.
Yep, and they're going to double down, make sure they get one apiece in that fight. Yeah. Done just like that. You use both your rolls to be able to do it, but honestly, I don't know how much I hate that at the end of the day because it just shuts that fight down, and you get the wipe on top of it.
You get the wipe, get the team kill here, but now look at what Panama has coming up here. Really nothing. You really want Dake to be able to build up to their grab pretty quickly here. Oh, look over at Costa Rica here. They're going to have Sundering Blade not that far away from their artillery and a consuming rush here, so they're in a really good spot here. They could really afford to slow play this fight, wait for both those ultimates to come on, and just throw them all out at once because there's couldn't really be nothing that Panama can respond with.
Yep, you hide around the corner, you wait for that right moment to let it loose. No one else will be shown. Tiger, though, catch at the tail end of it. Eventually, that will be enough to follow up on. And now you're going to run down this back line. This one's going to be done and dusted with 75% on the board. Everyone else needs to hurry and go down and take the reset. You're going to come up with a grab, but you're not really confirmed to get to the rush or not.
You're really not here. Anox needs to be able to build that up pretty quickly here. Speed boost as well needs to be able to try to build up this grab. But, I mean, the grab from Deg needs to be able to win this fight here for them. Just to be able to get back to points. Because look how far up Costa Rica's already pushed.
And it's exactly the right choice right now. And they're going to lose body after body. Gonna rush is out, but I don't know how much it's truly going to matter. 100-62 will be our first round here. Costa Rica looking good. This level of aggression that we have seen before from the squad is working wonders right here in Panama. Much like we saw from a couple of occurrences before against Nicaragua, kind of struggled when it was getting thrown back in their face like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they like I said, this is a team that really feeds off of momentum. I think both of them really do, being able to feed off that momentum, being able to push the pressure. They want to play aggressively into both each other. And that's what we've seen from a lot of these teams so far in these friendlies. The level of aggression coming out from them. And it's normally been the team that, you know, aggresses first in these fights, normally comes out on top. And I think you can see it there in all those fights on that first point there. Normally the team that was through the first punch was able to win the fight there. No big swaps coming out here, though, other than Tiger going over to the bastion of their own. Like I said, a bubble popper coming out here. That's exactly what you need to kind of shut down the Zaryas for both these teams. Dyke has a lot of experience with that last map, as they were taken out first, or they were the first one taken out in the first two fights here, but they need to be able to keep Tiger alive here while also allowing Takeda to play aggressively as well with those bubbles.
Yeah, 100%. And now point can open momentarily, and now you got to try to make your way through, but bubbles already been expended. So much damage coming through. Kind of lucky to be alive, but that luck comes to an end very swiftly. But now you got the advantage in your hands. Takeda do a good job cleaning up a lot of these kills, but now you're walking forward. Kitso going down. Yeah, fight going to be shut down. You're going to try to get somebody out alive here. Unfortunately, no one's going to do so.
If you lose Anox there, that's a costly pick right there. If you're Panama, you needed them alive because they're your main source of healing, and look at what that does. Speed Boost's gonna go back to try to get them back here very quickly. If you're Costa Rica, you could try to play very quickly here as well, but you're not gonna be able to get back fast enough as everyone is back here. And Panama in a really good spot here. Look at that, Tiger already so close to our artillery. Same thing could be said for Cal, but Tiger in a much better spot. Benji though playing a little bit too aggressively there, almost gets taken out there by Dyke, but you're seeing Panama just hold on to the point here.
Yeah, you see a little bit of separation here, and now you're going to see that jump to the outside. Cal sitting at 1 will be kept up, but the book comes through. Kitso's going to help get rid of 2. You try to get rid of Artorias there. Unfortunately, tanks do not like to go flying, so that's going to be a clean fight for them. Don't have to use anything, and now ults becoming galore for both sides.
Yeah, you're about to see full house for both sides. Really, the only person that's kind of lagging behind right now is Artorias. They're on the Zarya for Costa Rica. Dyke's gonna be able to have theirs pretty soon here, and that should be able to help them out. But Hunter, you're gonna probably see 8 ultimates come out here this fight, and potentially I'll say 6.
Yeah, and you're to see just a rundown right there. Now Sundering Blade available, gonna cut directly through Tiger. Bastions are out of the fight, but now this is going to open up a door for Kitso to go in with the aggression. This is the downward slash, but still, it's going to be enough to start taking care of business one after another. Make it 2. Hoping to keep this going. Artorias more than happy to help with that cleanup. That is a good fight for them. You trade out the ultimates, and you pretty much go 2-2 there.
2-2 there, but here's the biggest thing here. You beat there if you're Panama. Now you're in a really bad spot because Artorias is going to have a grab ready to go. Your Cal's going to have a great combo tool with it as well. Consumer Much, though, going to be the first engage here. But there's the grab, and Hunter, this could be deadly.
Yeah, and even though the cleanse come through, it's just not going to be enough. You lose out on Kitso. Rough, but to be fair, you have this fight locked in. And now with Takeda down, you have plenty of time for Kitso to get back.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Costa Rica, ever since getting control at this point, they're, again, pushing that pressure up. They're trying to really play these choke points, and they're doing a really good job at Panama just trying to figure out a way to get through it, and they've struggled. Look, they've used almost all 5 of their ultimates here. Tiger's the only one ready to go, but that's not necessarily going to buy you the space you're looking for here, but they're going to use it anyway, just trying to desperately find anything here.
Yeah, cleanse has been used. The artillery strike being down, and now beat could be used. Here comes that all-out aggression heading towards the back. Well, there's a little bit of separation. I don't know how well this is actually going to work out for them, but speed boost is incredibly low, and now 1 falls. The rest could be right behind them right now. Benji is trying to find some kind of finish. Unfortunately, it's just speed boost hanging around. Is going to get the touch, but beyond that, I don't know if it's going to help out a whole lot. They go around to avoid the boop as well. So even though you get overtime, it's gonna mean nothing. And that is going to be Costa Rica taking the first map. And again, the way this team works with momentum is fabulous. The moment they latch on to these points, even when they ended up losing, they'll never invest more than their opponent. They'll invest pretty much about the same amount at best.
Yeah, I mean, we've only seen this Costa Rican team maybe mess up a couple times throughout the now 10 maps we've seen them play here. This has been a very consistent team, and that's one thing you desperately need here very early on. Like I said, both these teams still trying to maybe build up that rapport with each other, build up that chemistry. And right now, Costa Rica doing a really good job of that. And they've been so consistent. It's been so fun to see them play every time. Panama, though, was able to put them on their toes here a little bit, but they weren't able to kind of keep that pressure going. They would win one fight, maybe two fights in a row, and then you'd see Costa Rica come right back in with just anything, really. I mean, whether it be ults in a fight or whether it just be a dry fight. I mean, this Costa Rican team, a very stout team to break through. Panama, they need to find that consistency through a couple fights here to try to maybe get Costa Rica outside their comfort zone here. But hey, a really good first map there, that DPS line for Costa Rica combining for 46 elims, almost, I'm gonna say that's 17 more than what you got over there from Team Panama. The tank play as well. Artorias did a really good job right there for 24-4. Dayak 15-8. I mean, again, it seemed like Dayak was being taken out pretty early in a lot of these fights. Costa Rica knew who they wanted to go after, and getting rid of that Zarya is always a good move, especially in this meta.
100% it is, but the great thing about this, being able to try all these maps, is we're inevitably going to see a lot of different compositions. With Escort being the next map, if you go over to somewhere like a Dorado, you could see some dive, but Circle Royale is going to be the choice. And to be honest, while I think teams may opt for the Sigma in here, depending on these bans, there's a real reality that the comps don't really change up all that much. Yeah. Especially you have some of these close quarters areas that honestly exist on all 3 points, where things like that Sigma Bastion can still work out extremely well.
Yeah, unless you see a Zarya be banned out here, I don't think you're going to see much change here. Panama, I feel like they might have very much a little bit of a reactionary ban here with probably a Bastion. Even though you did see both teams necessarily played it at the end, Panama did take them to that second point to really commit to playing it. And granted, I thought they did a good job on it, which is a little bit too late. I don't think they necessarily want to stick with it, though. So a Bastion ban here wouldn't surprise me, but you leave a lot of hit scan targets there available for each team as well. I mean, hell, you'll leave the entire hit scan pool for both those teams, especially with both the players we've seen so far. We do know that they can find their headshots if given the time and the space here.
Yeah, 100% they can. And we'll obviously see here pretty shortly as the Wuyong is going to end up being the first ban here. Which, to be fair, I think Wuyong does have a lot of uses, and we do see that Wuyong come out quite a few times for the squads. Now, whether or not it would have been picked on this map, obviously you could say what you will. But to be fair, one thing you could say about Wuyong is Wuyong is still a really good selection, has really good utility, and not having in that situation, it can be a little bit more difficult to deal with, especially if you have a support that tends to lean more on that Wuyong, who is still very powerful.
Well, it looks like both teams just hate the heroes that start with the letter W, as Widowmaker going to be the second ban coming out here. And again, this is maybe one of the only maps in the game where you could really argue that a Widow ban is a really good ban. Just because of how long the sightlines are. Again, this is a poke map through and through, and that normally does mean the hit scans find a lot of value in Hunter. Me and you have seen some Widowmakers in the past on this map absolutely just take over the first 2 points. The third point kind of falls out of favor for Widow unless you're on defense, but I mean, we've definitely seen Widows take over in the past year. But again, without the Bastion being banned out here, I still feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of the same that we saw on that first map.
Yeah, I think we will as well. Obviously, we'll find out here pretty soon. Panama going to be on the attack first and foremost. Obviously, no Wuyong, no Widowmaker to be seen in this one. But I don't think it's going to change up a whole lot in the current situation that we are in. Obviously, we won't know for a fact until we see them get out of the spawn door. Specifically, Costa Rica, who defending first, what they're walking out on is what you're going to get.
Well, but you're also seeing some changes coming out here from Team Panama. Conqueron going to be coming in here for Takeda, and Jazer coming in here for Dayak. I mean, we saw these two last week in their friendly, and I thought they did really good. We only saw Jazer one time, though, and I thought they did really good for what we did see for them. Conqueron, on the other hand, I believe, again, I think we saw 1 or 2 maps of that series. A very good hero, a very good player in their own right. I'm happy to see him a little bit more here. But coming out of the gate, look at what Panama's kind of teasing us with. This is kind of what we expected to see, even though I said, like, hey, we could see exactly what we saw last map, but they're really playing this map here. They're playing the poke playstyle. Kixo coming out here on the Hanzo is going to be really fun. You might have been seeing that ban come out here from Costa Rica, maybe to make sure Kixo wouldn't play the Widowmaker, but we've seen them play this Hanzo in the past, and it's scary. They seem to know how to really arc those arrows coming out there. And again, WetTube on this Iari. This was a hero I thought might have been banned out this map, because I remember seeing one of these teams play. I just couldn't remember, but WetTube on almost any support hunter from what we've been able to see in Faceit League is absolutely scary, and Iari going to be able to find those headshots. You can see essentially DPS numbers coming out from them on this map.
That is what you're going to see, I think, throughout most of this map right here. But I think the struggle out the gate is going to be getting past this initial quarter. You're set up on a place where, with what you have, WetTube and Benji are going to be so hard to touch. You have to get that right shot in, connect things at the right time, get these cooldowns out if humanly possible. But Artorias is going to have all this healing in the world to be able to kind of keep them alive and keep them on this corner as long as you really want them to be on the corner, especially you almost leave Antnox there fairly early on. But speaking of Antnox, and everybody else, by the way, WetTube is about to have a captive son.
Yeah, again, like I said, WetTube could definitely put up the numbers on this map. The pylon basically allows them to play almost as aggressively as they want here. But Antnox, you talked about him there for a brief moment. I like that they come out on the Zenyatta, but they need a lot of help. And there's the help, at least finding kill. The sun's out, though, and it lands on the 2.
Yeah, WetTube is going to connect with 1, is hoping to get the finish. Will be able to get the shot onto Conqueron, and now with that, things done and dusted. Speed boost. Gonna try to get back into the spawn. Immortality Field will help them do so, but they do use an ultimate to win that fight, and now you're gonna have these teams coming up to a pretty much a 4v5 in alt economy.
Yeah, and Hunter, like I said, WetTube now on the Iari could definitely have the DPS numbers. Hunter, they have almost the same amount of damage as their DPS heroes combined at the moment. I mean, they are absolutely scary on the Iari, especially if you do not get rid of that pylon, which you finally see Pokemon focusing on there, and now the Amix is out, Flux out as well. Panama trying to get something going here.
Yeah, and they make everything be invested to keep Artorias up here right now. You lose Benji, which is going to make it really rough, because now you really can't stick around this corner. You got to keep everybody alive, if possible, especially you see WetTube incredibly low. Artorias needs to get that care, but I like the fact that they're managing their aggression. They push up too far, Jacer will get punished.
Yeah, and again, when that pylon went down, you saw WetTube had to give up a little bit of damage to go for healing instead. That really did slow down Panama there. Flux and Dragons coming out, but they're both going to be whips there. Kixo, though, doesn't matter. They find the headshot on the Tiger.
Yeah, now we'll slow this down real quick as the DPS gonna clean up shop here. Nobody gonna get out of here alive. He'll manage to get rid of 2 already, hoping to find a 3rd. Might not be able to do so, but unfortunately, Jacer, it's taken down with the rock, finished off, and all that momentum they just got has been shut down.
But you look at the ultimates right now, and I think Panama's still in a good spot here. You have your Overclock, you have your Flood, you have your Transcendence, and WetTube, they have a second sun already here, and that's the only thing ready to go here for Costa Rica, though. So if you're Panama, you're really looking for get 1 kill. You're trying to get back to the cart at the moment, but you already see Costa Rica set right back up. But Kokoron coming out on the Hanzo, going to be able to shut down their counterpart on the other side. That's the 1 pick you were looking for.
Yep, Tiger's going to go in, trying to find somebody, and eventually Artorias gonna be down first and foremost. One of the last people you want to lose this early on, and now everyone's got to run for the hills, but they're dying 1 at a time, and oh, poor Kel needs to get out of there. But unfortunately, you could maybe force a touch here, but I don't think it'll do you any good.
It wouldn't be worth it to force a touch here from them, and that's exactly what you see them doing. It wouldn't be worth it. You're just kind of putting yourself behind the 8 ball, especially on a second point push where the offensive team definitely could struggle going uphill. You give them a lot of opportunity and space there just to get that cart uphill very, very quickly here. But now you're seeing the ultimate come back online here for Panama. You're going to have Flux. You have Ant-Mage, who's really opened up a lot for them in the first fight there, and Anox still holding on to the Transcends here. So they're in a good spot right now, but ultimate's coming online from the other side. The Flux, though, going to be able to find 1.
Yeah, WetTube caught out just on the tail end, will get taken out as a result, and now you can just keep walking forward now if you're chasing the rest of the squad, especially as you're still finding picks. We talked about this team taking momentum before. That's exactly what they're doing, especially Gitzo gets the late death as well, and now you're already in 1-fight territory.
Yeah, and like I said, this Panama team, when we saw them play last week, they were able to keep momentum up in all but 1 map. Now they have the momentum going their way after a little bit of a slow start, and look at how they're playing. Dragon coming out there from Kokoron, Amix out as well. Look at how far they're playing up. They're trying to make sure that we don't even get a retouch here from Costa Rica.
Yeah, but there's still time to be able to get a touch here because you've only had one person on that point the whole time. You throw 3 on here at the end, and now someone is going to basically throw their body on here, and they're going to be able to do so just in time. Less than a meter remaining. Speed boost is down first and foremost, so that is a great step right there. And now Captive Sun thrown in, catches on the 2 targets, and they are going to combust right then and there on the spot. Wetsup gets rid of 3, is going to help with the 4th here as they're down, and they stop them. And unfortunately there, for Panama, they empty the ult bank for that fight.
Yeah, Panama empties the ult bank. Costa Rica kind of empties the ult bank here as well. You still have Kale here coming out with their overclock, so they're still in a spot here, which is 80 seconds left to go to be able to hold for a little bit. But, I mean, you look at Panama, not that far away from a Flux, not that far away from their own overclock. Those 2 ultimates really did do a lot for them in the last 2 times they used them, so they're not necessarily in the worst spot yet, but I don't think you can afford to play slow here. You do have to kind of push the pressure here up a little bit to try to get that momentum back here. If you let it fall too far into Costa Rica's hands, you're never going to get it back at this moment, Hunter.
No, you will not. And now ult coming up here are going to be very critical. Immortality Field forced out here now. The time has come once again. Successful the first time and now successful the second. Has already gotten rid of 2, and with a good cleanup right there, Wetsup helping out a little bit. Everybody doing their part, and Kitso back over on that Genji. And now it's going to come down to Tiger and Jazer for this last fight.
But Jazer has Flux. Tiger, like you said, will have that overclock ready to go here. But look over at Costa Rica. Nothing and nothing in the near future as well. So all you're really looking here for Panama is just to get back to the car, which luckily for them, it's slowly rolling back towards them here. But the Flux needs to be able to find one. Even if anything, just to get rid of some good abilities out from the other side. Try to find something there, then follow it up with that Flux. But looks like Jazer looking for it there. Going to be able to find one with it.
Yeah, Immortality Field is forced out. That is a good thing. Overtime will also be forced, and now it's down to Tiger. Has already lost 1 ally. Needs to clutch up your big time, but everybody hiding away, letting Artorias take the bulk of this area. You also get the Animatrix online as well. Down to the 4v4, but still Wetsup has a Captive Sun around the corner. It's going to be thrown in, and anybody who's left to hang around has been depleted. That's going to be as far as they go. No touch here online for Antnox. So they're going to take that one away. Honestly, all things considered, really good position for them, especially considering how much momentum Panama had there for a couple minutes.
Yeah, Panama looked like they finally figured it all out. They were able to shut down Costa Rica time after time again there, but it took one good fight. And even though I didn't necessarily hate any of the ult uses that we saw there from Panama as they were nearing that second point the first time, they let 2 members from Costa Rica slip off to the side, and no one really chased them. And honestly, I think they let maybe the 2 most dangerous characters slip off to the side of Torius and Wedtube, who, again, still putting up DPS numbers right now on that ERE. 14-2, almost 6,900 damage. Hunter, that's 3,000 more than Kixo, their other DPS player right now. I mean, like I said, Wedtube on this ERE can put up DPS numbers while still putting out a good amount of healing, leading their team in healing as well with 82, almost 8,300 healing. So again, on this ERE, it's almost why I thought that would be the ban we would see come out here from Team Panama, just because Wedtube has been able to show us in the past how scary they can be on any support. You give them basically a hit scan support, they're going to be able to find a lot of value here, but no big shocks or changes coming out from either side. Speed boost going to stick with the ERE on the defensive side, and I like that for them. Here we saw what Wedtube was able to do with it last round. Wedtube sticking with it here now. And you're seeing some more swaps come out here. Artorias going back over to the Sigma. This is what we expected. And yeah, so no big swaps coming out from anyone. The only big one is potentially speed boost sticking on the ERE here. I think just after the performance you saw last round from Wedtube, I think you kind of have to keep that up here. But you're not going to see that same aggression level, I think, come out from Panama. They're going to give some space up here. And yeah, they're going to have to give some space up here, considering they're already down 1.
Yeah, I mean, Kitso just got back-to-back shots. There's nothing you can really do in that situation right there. But, like I said, they have to back up. They'll be able to get them back pretty quickly here as well, but giving that up that initial area, that's rough to have to give up this early on.
And look how much space they're actually giving up here right now. I mean, normally you see teams just fall back to the bridge, but they're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to hold that. They're actually playing basically at first point right now. So if you lose one fight, or really if Panama loses 2 or 3 members, you might just see them give up the first point and have a long, long second point hold here. But I already love the positioning coming out here from Costa Rica as they're just getting so much off-angle damage.
Yeah, and you just see Artorias is forcing all of this space right here, forcing out all these cooldowns as well. Separation comes through, and Kel once again gonna get rid of 2. Artorias flicking. hit back right there, and now it's just cleanup squad coming through here. And that is going to be an absurd amount of time on the clock. It's going to be about, what, 5:15, I believe? Yeah, that is an insane amount of time.
5:15, and you got a split kind of respawn here. 2 members going back to that second point spawn, while 3 members were able to get those forward spawns that from the first point there, but Jazer just barely gets out with their lives. Same thing could be said for Cocoron there, as you already see 4 members of Costa Rica just pushing the aggression, trying to push the problem up here. We saw Panama do this and it worked very well for them up until it didn't. But now look at the ultimates coming online here for Costa Rica, Hunter. You're about to see 4 ready for them, but same thing could be said here for Panama. But really, they're only going to have 1 there from Anox pretty early on, which they might just need to use just to build space.
Yeah, 100%. But you're making some room right there, Conqueror. Able to get rid of 1. You see a little bit of separation from Conqueror, though, who definitely needs a bit of care, but is hanging around his wet tube. Thinks this is winnable, and apparently it is. They're in the back line, by the way. Managed to get rid of another. They're cleaning house with a little bit of help. 3 final blows there for WedTube, and yeah, a retouch here. They put bodies on. This thing is over.
I don't even think they need to put more than 1 body on. Dragon's coming out here from Cocoron, which will almost slow them down there, but it's not going to be enough. But what a round. What a performance there for Costa Rica in that map. I mean, it seemed like Panama finally started to figure them out there a little bit, but once Costa Rica was able to shut them down once, it seems like all the momentum, everything that they had kind of going their way, also went away with them there. WedTube getting play of the game isn't that much of a surprise here, Hunter, because like I said, DPS numbers coming out for them had the most elims in the lobby as well. 21 elims on the ERE, showing us why they have to be feared on any support hero in this game. And I mean, just an incredible performance from them. Other stats that really caught my eye in that map right there, where even though in a losing effort there for Team Panama, Jazer had the most damage, almost by 4,000 there. 10,600 damage for them. Next closest was Tiger, who had a little bit over 6,000 damage. But that DPS line for Panama tried to do all they could. Most elims in the lobby, or most elims on their team, was Tiger, followed up by Cocoron on that DPS line. Jazer had 6, Speed Boost had 5, and Anox had 3. I mean, it was a little bit of a struggle there for Panama when they really couldn't figure it out. But Costa Rica, man, this team looked incredible. Maybe the only downside for Costa Rica in the map, I have to kind of look at Kixo. 7 and 5, they really struggled. They got out DPS by their support player of WedTube. I mean, it's an interesting thing there, but they're still able to find a lot of value on all the heroes they play. They did find some key picks as well, but Costa Rica again, Hunter, we've seen them play 11 maps. We've seen them win all 11 maps so far in these friendlies.
Yeah, and it's looked fantastic for them thus far. And obviously, as we're kind of getting ready for our next map, which oddly enough is going to be King's Row. This is the one map that we saw Panama end up losing to that Nicaragua squad. Now, be it as it may, that was still an incredibly close map. Both teams pushed it all the way. It came down to just a couple of fights in overtime. Ended up being a 5-4 score, I believe. But this is also a chance for them to be able to kind of improve upon what we saw before. First ban coming through, though, the Vendetta has been taken out, which, to be fair, I don't blame them in the situation. Vendetta is just that strong in the right hands, and Costa Rica, I believe we've seen it before. I cannot remember who played it before, and that's my apologies, but when we saw it previously, man, it caught fire.
I mean, yeah, it absolutely did. And especially, I think it kind of really tries to get you away from playing that Zarya play style, or that Zarya kind of comp that we're seeing a lot of teams play right now, because it really goes hand in hand with the Vendetta. I mean, it kind of goes back to when we're seeing Zarya Reaper really dominate there for a little bit. I think you're just getting rid of that because now it's just the Reaper's replaced with the Vendetta. Do you still see the Zarya here? I think that might be the case for these two teams, but hey, I was dead wrong last map. We could see Sigmas come back out here. Winston definitely a possibility. Ramatra still there. I mean, I would love to see a little bit of swaps come up at tank, but Zarya right now just very, very strong. But it's gonna be interesting to see what we see from Costa Rica on the ban. Do they go after the support line here? Do they go after tank? It wouldn't surprise me if they just say, okay, you got rid of Vendetta, let's get rid of Zarya here as well. Let's see what else they have here. And looks like at the moment, Jazer, Cocoron gonna be staying in for Panama, but again, lineups have not yet been finalized. And yep, there it is. Dayak coming back in, and I was right. Zarya going to be banned out here as well. So you get rid of one half of that deadly combo. Costa Rica decides to say, hey, let's get rid of the other half right there and see what you have. Dayak coming back in, though, for Jazer this time.
Yep, and I'll be interested to see how this goes down with these bans in place. Obviously, the Zarya has kind of been a staple for quite a lot of teams thus far. Not just within these show matches, but I think just in general, a lot of reliance on it. It's been the same way with the Sigma as well. But we'll find out shortly what the situation is going to be. Once more, you're going to have Costa Rica defending first, while Panama's got to go out on the attack, get something done, which, to be fair, they had themselves a phenomenal first attack last time we saw them. They're hoping to replicate that success once more.
Absolutely. And coming out of the gate here, Daik, at least not showing us a tank, but they have some time to make that swap. But look at Artorias right now, currently hovering the Wrecking Ball on Hunter. Me and you have seen some Wrecking Balls in the past. Well, nope, there it is, D.Va coming out from them now. Benji, though, going to be showing us the Wu Yang. Remember, that was banned out last map. WedTube going back over to their tried and true Kiriko that we've mostly seen them on throughout the majority of these friendlies. Kixo showing us back up with the Genji here. Struggled last map, looking to try to get a little bit of a better performance this time around. Now you look over at the other side. Is Kokoron going to stay on this Symmetra? I would really like to see it, especially with Artorias coming out on that D.Va. You could definitely see that Symmetra find a lot of value. Tiger looking for that one shot, then going to be going over to probably a Soj or a Cassidy themselves here. But outside that speed boost and Anox as well, probably on the support line, you really expect to see from both these two teams.
Yeah, 100% you will. Gonna swap back over, and it's just gonna go in the situation and match things up right there as Tiger. Oh, back over on that Sojourn, while Kokoron is still on the Symmetra, oddly enough. Which, to be fair, the Symmetra can 100% work, especially Artorias, who can really do nothing but run if that beam is right in the face, just like that. Has to duck out immediately. If Artorias gets knocked out of that mech, you're just gonna watch this entire Panama squad just run full force down Costa Rica.
And Tiger going to be able to find Benji out there as you see them try to focus in there on Kixo. Kixo's going to be able to get away, but this is exactly what you're looking for here. If you're Panama, a good start. Now find the follow-up kill here to continue it and probably get that first point off it. And look, the Symmetra coming out from Kokoron, going to force Artorias to play a little bit more passively here. They do not want to run to that beam because there's nothing they can do to stop it.
Yeah, and Kitso is so low, is getting a little bit of heal at last, but still, not even the second tick has gone through, but Artorias is just being down, can do nothing in their situation, and with the second tick going through, WedTube is right around the corner for Kitsune Rush, but with that kill right there, Kitso gonna trade things out as WedTube's gonna try to somehow connect and get this thing online. Unfortunately, I'm not thinking this is going to be the case, as the cleanup is going to come through, at least momentarily, but no, they're starting to bring this one back around, and now you're gonna have to die on the point as the D.Va, and you should see a quick reset here regardless, but still, that is an insane fight to take back.
Artorias showing us that the baby D.Va does have hands. Gonna be able to find a melee kill there. TP coming back out on the point, but you're gonna lose Daik here if you're Panama. So the good start that you had slowly falls apart there as Kixo and Benji find kills, and now look at Costa Rica here, getting very aggressive, trying to find some momentum back. Kale gonna be able to shut down one, and now the rest of Panama might just need to hit the reset button, but finding Kixo's huge right there, because look what that does to Panama, or Costa Rica. Just a straight fallback. I expect the TP to come out here, and Kokoron does have that photon barrier ready to go, so they're in a really good spot here to play aggressively on and try to get this point cap.
Yeah, and you're going to go into that 3v1. Artorias is going to be given the title blast. Unfortunately, he's probably not going to get back up in time, so that ends up getting not a whole lot. You're going to have to see the reset with the bomb come through there for Daik, but still, you're able to run away right now. Artorias has their own bomb available, has an ability to kind of just drop it on this point to gain a little bit of space for the team when they drop out of it, and that wall is going to run out at a pretty unopportune time, but still, it's going to be enough. But this has been 4 ults invested in this fight so far for Costa Rica trying to hold on.
I'm waiting to see that beat come out there from Speed Boost, but you lose Kokoron, who I think was very important in this fight here for Panama. And you look at that time bank, Hunter, they're just gonna decide to back up here. I think this is a smart play for them. I was gonna say they cannot afford to lose anyone else here and be staggered out anymore, but you have beat, you have overclock ready to go. Kixo has Blade ready to go, but the beat might just be enough here for Panama to slow that down completely. And outside of that, they have nothing else. All you need is one more tick here for Panama, and you're going to be able to get the push going your way. Do not allow Costa Rica to really get this momentum, but Daik, barely going to be able to save mech.
Yeah, Cleanser in time, beat out just in time, as Kitso is just going to get burnt away with the beam, and now the rest of that Costa Rica squad in a really rough situation. WedTube eventually going to be burnt down as well. All this big damage coming through, and the longer the fight goes on, the better it's going to be for Team Panama. Artorias, though, is still trying to keep their team in this one. Nox incredibly low, running for the hills. Somehow still alive, and eventually was knocked out of the mech. we're gonna have it go through, and at the end of the day, they will cap the point. But think about how good this still is as the team of 1v1 ends. They both get taken out. But think of how good this is right here for Costa Rica. They might lose that, but arguably, Panama should have capped like 2 minutes ago.
They really should, and they did a good job just at least eating away a little bit of that time bank there. Just playing very smart.
Benji?
Both Kixo and Benji was able to...
You see where Benji is?
Oh, yep, I see where he is.
Oh,
He is, he's back there. He is definitely back there.
Yeah.
This could actually really affect Costa Rica here. Panama definitely knows he's back there, but it looks like it's actually working out for Costa Rica. It's causing a little bit of a split reaction from them.
Yeah, because nobody actually ends up chasing at the end of the day, and somehow this is going to work out. They really shouldn't have, and now Dick, again, going to get knocked out of the mech, and you see, again, the staggering coming through a little quicker this time, but yeah, they don't chase, but they also don't really commit to either side, and that is just a recipe for disaster.
But look at the ultimates here right now for Panama and Costa Rica. They both have 3 ready to go. Speedboost's going to be able to build up to a 4th one pretty quickly here. Panama's actually going to almost have a full house coming up here very, very shortly. However, that time bank no longer necessarily on their side. 90 seconds left to go. Not a lot necessarily for them to do. If Benji throws the Tidal Blast onto themselves and going to be able to fight Tiger because of it.
Yeah, big kill early on in this fight right here. Quite a bit already invested to try to take it. But honestly, you don't hate this at the end of the day. You just need to keep Dig alive to be able to help take this one. Benji is forced into the back once more. But again, Hill's going to try to keep this thing going right now. Bomb being thrown out there. Going to give them a little space to work with it. With that, boom! We should see this fight coming towards its natural end. Artorias knocked out of the mech. Is going to drop the bomb, though, on this one to retain. And Undead gets knocked out of the mech with the process. Now, you're going to see them probably try to go full force here, but that beam is just damaging Artorias and keeping them away.
Yeah, again, level 3 Sim Beam is very, very scary to be in front of here. Artorias going to be able to get back into the mech here, but you look at what Panama had to use there. Basically, everything outside of the overclock. And now the blade coming out from Kixo. No beat to stop it this time.
Yep, and now, unfortunately for them, 2 already down, done, and dusted. Tiger and Speedboost going to be able to both get out of there alive, though. But now 30 seconds on the clock, and you're going to have to walk into a Kitsune Rush, and your one response right now is Tiger. And I don't know how much that's going to work.
We've seen Tiger pop off these in the past here, but they desperately need to find the value. And honestly, I think you're also kind of looking at Kokoron here being able to get Artorias out of the mech here, so those overclock shots have all the momentum or all the advantage in the world, not to be just eaten up here. But someone needs to get a touch here for Panama, or else it won't necessarily matter.
Yeah, and they got to go forward. They will get it the last second. Kokoron and Speedboost are already down early. Wetube hoping to get them off to a good start here. Now you lose out on the one person who had ultimate in. Everyone else remaining is just so unbelievably far away from getting anything done. Dag knocked out of the mech as well. Again, done and dusted. They're gonna get off to, again, a relatively decent start and then be stopped on second point. It is a rinse repeat here for Costa Rica, who, when it feels like they're falling out of things, they clutch up, they make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, Costa Rica has just been able to find ways to necessarily win fights sometimes that they really have no right to be in. I mean, it was just a really good job by them on the first point, really slowing down Panama there, who looked like they were going to get a first fight and first point win because of that there. But Kixo and Benji really were able to find 2 huge picks there that slowed it all down. And that is the difference maker in this map so far here. Granted, Panama could have an excellent first point defense and really make all those points moot, but again, Costa Rica, they have been by far the most impressive team we've seen here. Panama has given them some problems tonight, but they've been able to really overcome all of them here. I mean, this team has been thrown a lot of different stuff at them, a lot of different play styles, and Costa Rica has been able to overcome them every time here. Now, though, what are they going to do on this attacking side? Are they going to play slow? There's not going to be a Symmetra here, I believe, for Costa Rica. No Symmetra as well for Panama. And I think that's really interesting because Symmetra, I think, on the defensive side on this map, maybe is a little bit stronger than on the offensive side.
Hello.
I'm not going to talk about what we're seeing right there from Artorias and Cal just yet, but outside of that, Wetube, Benji, and Kixo, I believe that's what we're going to be seeing them stick on there, and that was a really good round there for Kixo. Like I said, they struggled immensely last map. Only, I believe it was 7 kills. They were out DPS'd by Wetube, which, granted, that's still happening right now, but Kixo does have 11 kills at the moment, so a much better performance from them here. But again, Wetube finding the value there with damage on these support heroes, out DPSing one of their DPS right now and one DPS from the other side.
Yeah, 100%. And Rub situation has to go to health XP boost, or more so Conqueror, separated from the team momentarily, but still gonna be able to survive. But you see immediately, Costa Rica is putting all pressure on this point. A little bit of pressure on the Dag right now, who's getting their heals eaten away, and Nox getting forced around. This is the pressure this team is so good at applying, and already losing out on their tank. And with that, you're immediately in a rough spot here if you're Panama. The best thing you can do is probably hit a reset here and try to go for a touch after 2 ticks.
You're gonna hit the reset here. Anox barely able to get out, but getting a touch after 2 ticks might not even be worth it here for them. You might just want to play for Arches. However, at that point, you're basically playing for your map there as well. You have Tiger and Speed Boost up there. You do see Daya coming back here, so yeah, here comes the touch. It's gonna be Cocoron getting that touch there, but what else does Panama have here?
They really have anything to work with. That's the issue. The moment Dag is knocked out of this match, you lose all sustain over on this point, and there it is right there. Artorias has everything to work with, and Kitso is doing a really good job cleaning things up. You might lose one. It's just not going to be enough as that last pick going to come through here, and with that cap coming through, nobody gets the good spawns.
Yeah, about halfway is all that Panama or Costa Rica needs to do here to win this map. And I mean, honestly, if you put 1 or 2 members on the cart there, it's going to force Panama to really rush back out here. But look, no ultimate's ready for Panama at the moment. You have Bomb ready to go for Artorias. Kale and Webtoon not that far away from their own ultimates. So Costa Rica in a really good spot here. Anox might have to really be the difference maker here for Panama. Just get this Kitsune Rush up here very quickly, because you're going to see Costa Rica play aggressively, as we've seen them playing all night long. And that's been one thing that Panama has really struggled with here, but you're seeing Kixo go off on this off angle, get caught up by the Genji on the other side. But look, that cart's still moving more than halfway to the golden box of victory.
Yep, and now you have double Kitsune Rush, and to be fair, you have every tool in the world ready to take this one away, but you lose Cal super early on right here. But still, Dag staying in mech is so critical. We'll be able to get out alive, and with a little bit of cleanup going through, that first fight is done and dusted. But Dex, there are so many more fights to go.
Yeah, you see 4 minutes on that time bank. Basically say, you know, 1 fight every 1 minute. That's at least going to give you 4 here. And you look over at Costa Rica right now. 4 big ultimates online for them. Same 4 ultimates about to be ready here for Panama as well. So it's going to come down to who finds the most value. Do we see a bomb kill come out here? Do we see one of the bombs be thrown out aggressively? Something we haven't seen just yet. But the blade coming out here from Cocoron while they get the tunnel blast as well.
Yep, and now you're trying to find something, but it doesn't really get a whole lot of anything. And now here comes the beat to go all out with the aggression. Kitso has already gotten rid of one. Trying to trade things out, I should say, but unfortunately, you've lost both supports. You have a bomb at the ready. Unfortunately, this bomb is not going to be good for anything in this situation. It's separated and will stay alive momentarily, but even if you get a touch, it does not mean a thing.
Yeah, you could try and get back, just not going to be able to get there in time. And Costa Rica, again, keeping this map streak alive here, looking better and better every time. Panama, they had their opportunities yet again, but once they lost out on the momentum, they just weren't able to get back. Again, Costa Rica showing us why right now, before everything is, you know, set up with those committees, might be looking at one of those teams that would come those wild card spots. And those knockout rounds might be a team you truly have to look at here as being able to make it, but still a long road ahead before that, but looking strong right now.
Yeah, they've been looking phenomenal. And again, we talk about the consistency of both of these teams going into this match. And I think specifically the thing to bring up with Costa Rica is to really double down and emphasize on that situation and how much they're able to clutch up in a lot of these fights. Because Panama, they remain consistent, but there is a certain clutch factor that you get from this Panama or from this Costa Rica squad that has been doing great. We've had multiple fights where we look at that and we say, yeah, that one should be done and dusted. And they come back. They somehow manage to pull that one away. And as the victor, that's amazing. That's a big boost. But if you lose that fight, that can be a morale killer in a lot of ways here. And it's a situation where Panama eventually bounced back. But with the extra 2 minutes attacking second, that could have looked much different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just looking at the stats from this last map here. Costa Rica, everyone on the team had over double-digit elims. No one on Panama was able to get 10 elims. The closest one was Cocoron with 9 there. I mean, they also did the most damage on their team as well. I mean, again, they played that Symmetra really good, I thought, on the first round. I was a little bit surprised not to see it come back out on the defensive round. I thought I would have been able to slow down Artorias there a little bit, who did end up, or Artorias did end up having the most elims with 20 in that map right there. Kale, though, ended up having the most damage, just over 9,300 in that map. But again, Costa Rica staying very consistent. It's hard to shut down this Costa Rican team because even when you see one member struggle, another member just going to step up. I mean, I talked about Kixo definitely had a little bit of a struggle there on Circle Royale, but RedTube stepped up, basically played that third DPS player there for Costa Rica and made a huge difference. This map, I don't think anyone really struggled. Everyone played up to their potential and really looked good on the map. Panama, though, again, you're looking for a little bit more consistency going into Hunter. It's kind of surprising saying this because I think both me and you coming into this series thought, hey, we're going to see Costa Rica get handed their first loss of a map in these friendlies, but we could be looking at our final map of the night here now. We're going to be heading into Coliseo. I know Panama banned out the Bastion to get started here, so that really does make me believe we're going to be seeing the Zarya's come back out here. They just want to get rid of the bubble popper here pretty early on. I think that's a good move here from Panama.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic move, and obviously you have to say how do you want to react in this situation to force them into an uncomfortable situation. Honestly, the thing that comes to mind for me is potentially the Lucio, and I only say that because while both teams are performing well, Costa Rica has shown they do not need the Lucio. They 100% have shown that at this point. You could put Wetsu Benji on anything you want to, and I think it's going to work out for them in that situation. And it's nice to always have the Lucio, but when you can easily replace it with a Juno or go with your same style with something like the Alari that has been working out great, it would just be an easy shutdown that doesn't really affect them.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking the exact same thing there. Ban out the Lucio. Speed Boost has really only played that throughout the night, and the ban is actually going to be Diva here. So I'd like this. I kind of like this ban coming out here from Panama or Costa Rica. I think it's really trying to force a Zarya mirror where you believe that you're going to be able to have the better Zarya that you kind of been showing us throughout the night here with Artorias, Dake staying in, Kokoron staying in as well. So no swaps coming in here for Panama. So we're not going to be seeing Jazer. We're not going to be seeing Takeda coming into this final map. I'm kind of surprised we're not seeing Takeda come back in, as I thought the one map that we had seen him play, they did a decent job there. No subs as well for Costa Rica, like we talked about. Still kind of surprising to see no one else come in here for Costa Rica so far in a lot of the series we've seen them play. But again, they're building up this roster here. They're building up the core. I never necessarily hate that, because if you have 5 good players, then man, you could go a long, long way here. But heading into what could be our final map of the night, Diva and Bastion banned out here. Again, really makes me believe we're going to be seeing a lot of Zarya this map.
Yeah, 100%. I think we are as well, and it could be, like I said, that last map we have for the evening, but still, you're going to see fight back from this Panama squad. They're going to go out and give it everything they've got to try to turn this one around and make it their own. But obviously, we're not going to know for a fact until we get out of these spawn doors for either side of things. Artorias, I would love to see the Winton from the bottom of my heart. Is it in the cards? I don't quite think so, but to be fair, it could fit to a certain style of them. But I think we see some honesty going on for Panama right now when it comes to their composition.
Yeah, Benji? Okay, there it is. But yeah, coming out of the gate, it's kind of what we expect. Again, in this play style, in this meta right now, look at the Zarya, look at the Vendetta. They're going to be finding a lot of help for each other here. Getting the Zarya's charge up and allowing the Vendetta to find a lot of value here early on. A mirror match coming out here. Very fun to be seeing that here. It's going to be interesting to see what both teams do here. As Dig throws a bubble on themselves. They're just trying to get that charge from the disrupting shot. But Kokoron, Dig really low on health here already. And you're going to see Costa Rica just try to push in on that here.
Yeah, 100% that's what you want to go for. But you see a little bit of press of that aggression. Bolsari is charging up really high out the gate. They're trying to keep up that 90 plus right now, and honestly, it's doing a great job of it right now. You want to be able to shut down Artorias as best you can. You see the separation get so low, and eventually will be able to go through, but still, you have to manage that aggression. But with Kitsu going down as well, they should be able to take this first fight away, get a nice little cleanup on Benji after the fact. So they're going to get the initial fight win, and for the first time in a long time, start with the momentum.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's the first time in a long time. The last 2 maps, Panama's actually won the first fight. but it's always been Costa Rica coming back in very, very quickly to shut it down. And look, Dayak and Conqueron playing very far up here. I think, while I like the idea, I don't necessarily think I want to see them stick up here very long, especially once Costa Rica gets everyone back, because if you lose either one of these two heroes, that momentum's all gone here. Conqueron looking for the escape, so is Dayak, as they barely keep themselves up. Woo!
Literally barren. Pokemon's dealing with their own issues right now. Eventually will go down. 48 meters is probably going to be the extent of things for now. They get 49, as unfortunately, Dayak gets left behind. But to be fair, there was no getting Dayak out of that situation.
Yeah, like I said, Hunter, like them playing that far up, I understand why you're doing it. You're trying to take space, but if you lose either one of those two heroes right now, you're basically saying, hey, fight's over. And that's exactly what happened right there. Dayak and Coconut get taken out there pretty early. Now Costa Rica's going to be able to come back in. Look, they're going to have Katsuni. They're going to have Beat. They're not that far away from Grab. However, those same things could be said here for Panama, and all they need is one good fight their way to get everything back going their own way. Kixa, though, very low, going to be able to get out with their life.
Yeah, gets hit right in the face with that secondary fire from the Zarya, but still able to live. But now Katsuni rushes here. Wetube has that response at the ready. Grab is going to be at the ready. Benji does not have that Beat yet online. Gonna losing everybody right here. Wetube would be lucky to get out of here alive. You do end up having a momentary trade out with Tiger, but still pushing it back the other way. And you are really aiming for that checkpoint on this fight.
You're really aiming for the checkpoint, but with that Lucio from Benji coming out here for Costa Rica, they're not going to be able to get just yet. And now Artorias doesn't have Grab yet to go, ready to go here, but it wouldn't surprise me if Speedboost tries to use his Beat here pretty early on as the overload comes out from Kale and finds Dayak, finds Conqueron as well, and ooh, back and forth, Hunter.
My God, yeah, and this is what you're going to see happen a lot here. And teams that are in the lead, Julie should have preferred that, but to be fair, you like it a little bit more when you find yourself getting that first checkpoint. But no, looking great so far, and now you're going to be going into this with that grab, but Speedboost still holding on to that Beat for it.
So that's going to be very key for them here, but you're going to have Sundering Blades, right, for both sides as well. And Hunter, I saw a 4-person Sundering Blade yesterday paired up with the grab. I would expect that here. Beats out early, though. The Sundering Blades out at the same time.
And Kitsu cuts Sundering down at the last second with it as well, and now you grab everybody together. They're going to get finished off. Not only is the lead going to be taken, but they're going to be able to get this checkpoint as well.
Again, I thought the Beat was maybe used a little bit too early there by Speedboost. We talked about it. It needed to be held on to for Grab, and they used it early to try to keep their team going a little bit early in that fight, because Benji used their own Beat in that fight early as well, but they knew they had no Grab on the other side. They could play aggressively there. That was a moment where Panama really needed to slow down to really speed up there. No ultimates ready for either team at the moment. Kale, they're going to be so close to that overclock here very soon, but if you're Panama, you're looking for some pick to go your way here early on to try to get this momentum back in your side.
Yeah, and Artorias going down, that's a pretty great way to do it right there. This fight is already done and dusted. Kitso, last one alive. Eventually, Team Life going to come through, but still, where that bot is at, everybody's going to get that good spawn. Everyone's going to be ready for this next fight pretty quickly.
Yeah, and honestly, if Panama can win another quick fight here, they're gonna get their own checkpoint. They need to find something here fast, though. Whether it come from Dayak, whether it come from Kokoron, or honestly, it needs to kind of come from Tiger. You want to see Tiger start getting going here in this map.
Yeah, you really want that. Tiger has been struggling a little bit here and there, but still, we know what this player can do. We know about that pop-off potential, but is kind of have to back up with the rest of their squad, get out of there alive best they can. Unfortunately, you see Costa Rica just chasing them down relentlessly to try to get everybody alive. Inox taken out at the last second. Unfortunately, Tiger separated from the squad, gonna be pulled down, and with that, spawns coming back into play. Kitsune rush for both sides. This is not looking all too mighty here for Panama.
Tiger gonna have their overclock, Dayak gonna have their grab here. Panama does have the ultimate advantage here, but forward spawn just going back the way of Costa Rica now. Honestly, at Costa Rica at this point, I think they're okay with what they're getting here. They're just taking whatever they can, and I don't necessarily see them investing any ultimates here unless we see another ultimate come out from Panama.
I mean, yeah, and you have the Kitsune rush, and you're gonna throw it, but the grab comes through too. Going to be caught up in it at the end of the day. You still technically have a fight here. It is a 3v3. Beat going to be used by Benji as well. Conqueror now down means Dayak is all alone. And it should eventually just be burnt down here. And this lead is going to extend so much further.
Yeah, I mean, you already see Costa Rica rounding the final turn into the home stretch here. Web2 taking care of speed moves. And now if you're Tiger, I would be, getting out of dodge right there because you still have a pretty goodly charged Artorias coming up here. And look at the ultimates coming online for Costa Rica. Kitsuno's grab and Sundering Blade. Again, good combo potential there. Kokoron going in. There's Kitsuno's out here. Costa Rica looking to end this series here and now.
Yep, big grab coming through, catches on to 4 different members pulled in there. Kitso's gonna start cutting people down one after another. The separation comes through. Dick down. Kitso with the 4th one to end the map and end the series. Costa Rica still yet to lose a map.
And again, they are looking stronger and stronger every time we see them here, Hunter. And this one might be their best performance so far. I mean, going up against Team Minu, we're very highly on in Panama. And Panama, like we said after every map, definitely had their opportunities this series to try to take away that momentum, take away maybe a map or two from Costa Rica. But Panama just could not find a way because Costa Rica just kept on stepping up here. It didn't seem like they were necessarily slowing down at all either. I mean, there were humps in the road for them, but they were essentially just little bumps. For Panama, on the other hand, they were like almost speed bumps, maybe even some traffic cones that they had to try to get over there a lot of the times. Panama, though, I mean, still a good performance for a lot of their players here, but I think right now you're really seeing a Costa Rica team who still very early on, a lot of stuff can and probably will change with the roster, especially if when committees come out, if maybe, I don't know if there's more than one committee that's put in an application for Costa Rica, if something happens there. But right now, this looks like a team that, well, I already mentioned it once, when it comes down to those wild card spots, they might be one that me and you are very heavily or very favored, from my in your opinion, to make one of those wild card spots.
Yeah, 100%. The way things are looking for them right now, they're looking fantastic because these are other teams that are going to be in that situation. I believe the only other 2 in this region that have that is Brazil and Colombia with those buys. Everyone else is going to have to fight for those spots. Other teams that we've gotten to see so far, but other teams that we also haven't gotten a true glimpse at yet. So I'm excited how this is going to go down and how much these teams are going to improve because obviously the way we see them now here at the end of January could look drastically different to where we get closer to the spring where these teams are truly formed together, scrimming their butts off. And I'm excited to see what that's going to look like when we get to that point. But obviously, for the time being, Costa Rica clearly looking amazing. They are doing their thing. And if they can build off of this, they have a really good shot of getting to that wild card team and, hey, potentially pushing this to the limit.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, we could really sit here and glaze Costa Rica a lot throughout the night or throughout this night and about this series and how they've played so far. I mean, Hunter, they've now won 13 straight maps of friendly competition, which is very, very impressive. But let's talk about Panama here for a moment. Again, went up against probably the team that me and you are considering to be the best that we've seen so far. They held their own at times, but once Costa Rica was able to get momentum, it was hard for Panama to get it back. And it always kind of seemed like they were either one ultimate ahead and they just maybe used it at the most inopportune time, or one ultimate behind and Costa Rica would just punish them for that here. Throughout the night, here tonight, there were great performances from members on Costa Rica. Kokoron came in, I thought played good. Tiger, that DPS line. I thought the DPS line for Panama was maybe the most solid that we've seen for them so far. Anox and Speed Boost. I don't want to say necessarily anything bad about them because it's very difficult going up against Costa Rica, but you want a little bit more, I think, from your support line here. And then Dayak as well. From what we saw from them, I think it's been very consistent play from them on any hero that we have seen them on, but still they're kind of lagging behind a little bit of this tank player on the other side, but they have a lot of time to really practice that and get better on it. And this Team Panama team has a lot of time to work on it. Jazer came in. I thought they played really good on the one map we saw them. I was expecting to see a little bit more of Takeda here tonight. Did not see them outside that first map. But again, I like that Panama is going through a couple of different players here, getting them that time, getting them that practice, especially against a good team like Costa Rica. It will benefit them in the long run.
Yeah, I really think it will as well. This team has a lot to improve on, but I think there's a lot that they're already doing correctly. I think they have some really good pieces to work with in these next few months are going to be really critical for them to be able to build off of what they have here, because this is a rough one against Costa Rica today, but it did have its bright spots. To go against a team that feels like in the wildcards right now, it's very preemptive to say a favor because of how much that can change in such a short period of time. But I think they look fantastic in this situation, and I'm happy to see how they're going to grow. And hopefully we get to see them a little further down the line. At this moment, I don't know when or where. our next match will be at when it comes to a show match. It's something we're going to figure out. Hopefully, I want to see some other teams like that Peru team that we have not gotten to quite see yet, but we're familiar with a lot of those
Hmm.
members as well, and I'm excited to see them. But at the end of the day, I'm just excited that we can do this. I'm excited we can come together, see these amazing players, these amazing countries. For some
Hmm.
of them, the very first time, by the way, putting together teams for the World Cup. So, to say the least, I am very excited.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple countries that I'm waiting to see teams from as well. You talked about Peru. I'm actually looking forward to Costa Rica. I mean, not Costa Rica, my bad. Argentina coming out here because me and you definitely there are some really good Argentinian players waiting for that team to get set up here. I want to see a little bit more of Chile. I want to see Honduras. I want to see Nicaragua again. I want to see all these teams that we've only seen so far once here again because I want to see the improvement for them. It's gonna be really fun to see that throughout these next couple months. And I mean, I think both me and you are expecting probably after boot camp coming up here, some more news on World Cup, uh, just anything.
Yeah.
So after that news comes out, you're going to see a big uptick in the amount of teams that we get, and hopefully the amount of friendlies as well.
Yeah, 100%. Remember, committee applications, I believe, close on the 6th, and I think for some of them, we're going to find out very quickly what the results of that going to be. And hopefully, we get a lot of other news with that boot camp as well. That'll make this year a lot easier to kind of talk about instead of saying, hey, we don't know when certain things are happening, but hopefully, in a couple weeks' time, we'll have answers for you, and hopefully, some more show matches as well. But and that's going to be it for here tonight. Again, we're happy to be here with y'all to watch these amazing teams, amazing players do their thing. As soon as we know if we're doing another, obviously we'll make sure y'all know as well. But for everybody who tuned in tonight, thank y'all. Have yourself a fantastic night. We'll see you next time for some more Overwatch action. Take care.